Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity. I have a bit of a throat problem, so I hope that I'm audible enough. Next slide, please. Yes, truth in science is still quite considerable. Let's start with the good news. There is more trust in science than, for example, in governments or in journalists or in newspapers. And for universities, for academics, that's a very important asset. Our reputation of trustworthiness is still strong. At the same time, yes, there is also quite vocal distrust in science. And well, we focus on a number of case studies, and I personally focus on virology. It's already mentioned, the COVID pandemic, but also because Erasmus MC in Rotterdam was a very important international player in addressing the COVID challenge. Next slide, please. Um, so for us, trust in science, trust in science is not a given. Skepticism actually is important. It's important in public debate. The purpose of public debate is to invite skepticism, to invite critical questions. But skepticism is also an integral part of the modus operandi of science, the scientific method. No science without skepticism. At the same time, yes, we are facing emerging challenges, polarization, disruptive technologies, and growing inequalities. And many people see a role for science in that, see that science is contributing to that. Social media are important, of course. So, our answer to these challenges is that we should restore trust in science by opening up, by being transparent, by being responsible, but also responsive and interactive, inclusive in our research methodologies, reliable in regard to the societal expectations that we raise, clear about our values and concerns. The next slide, please. So we want to promote valid trust, but we also appreciate valid distrust. The problem is misplaced distrust, but distrust as such is not something we consider a problem. It's rather our starting point, and these are also an overview of our partners. Next slide, please. I myself, I'm a philosopher of science, and in the 19th century, in philosophy, we had our three famous masters of suspicion, who all argued that suspicion is important, who all demonstrated that there is a connection between truth and power, for example. And once again, that implies that trust in science, trust in truth, if you like, should never be a given. We should be critical. We zoom in on a number of specific aspects or challenges, if you like. For us, scholars should not be neutral. We should be engaged scholars. We should be engaged with societal challenges. At the same time, we should be trustworthy, reliable sources of information, and how to combine these two roles of engagement and trustworthy research. That's very important. Epistemic inclusion. Yes, scientific knowledge is very important. Evidence-based knowledge, evidence-based expertise is very important, but we also need knowledge out there, public knowledge, practical knowledge, everyday knowledge, experiential knowledge, how to incorporate other forms of knowledge in the process of scientific research. I think that's a very important challenge. Participatory research has already been mentioned. Promise management is important. Be realistic about your expectations. Be critical about the role of science in disruptive innovation, leading to growing inequalities. Trust and power, truth and power, I already mentioned that. And we pay special attention to what we refer to as the genres of imagination, because novels, plays, movies can be an extra source of information about trust and distrust in science, in society vis-a-vis science. Next slide, please. So those are our core objectives, very briefly summarized. We want to enable societal stakeholders to distinguish valid from unsubstantiated trust, healthy distrust from unwarranted distrust, enable societal stakeholders to deal with the uncertainties and complexities of scientific knowledge. At the same time, and that's why we are called IANUS, we look in both directions. We look towards society, but also towards science and scientists. And we want to enable researchers to foster trust in science through methodological transformation, being more inclusive, participatory research, being more responsive to societal needs and concerns, lowering the barrier between research and societal stakeholders. And enable researchers to conduct research that is relevant, engaged, and value-driven, while avoiding conflicts of interest. I already mentioned that tension. Next slide, please. That's already the end. I wanted to make it short. Yeah, thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them in the discussion.